Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Xaereth Prevails, a Grand Arena story. It's a special one for you folks today. I decided to do one of my kind of old school versions of fights, which means I'm going to do a voiceover, I'm going to have video clips, it's going to be a lot of fun. Let me know how you like this. Maybe we can do it more often if that's something that people like. This is a pretty good match, I think. I think I played pretty well, and there's some pretty interesting counters and stuff, so just take a look, I guess. I mean, that's what you're doing anyway. So before we do that, though, let's give a huge shout out to my patrons. Thank you guys all so much for the support. You guys are truly amazing. You're the real MVPs and all of that stuff. I appreciate everything about you, insofar as I know. Like, if there's something nefarious going on that is unbeknownst to me, I probably don't appreciate it. So, let's jump into the actual video. Alright, so first let's talk about defenses and the things that I set. I've been placing some pretty tough defenses lately. This whole week I've been doing Darth Revan with the full bastard setup. And he's usually been in the front. This time I chose to put Darth Revan and General Grievous in the front with the hopes that my opponent would use Jedi Revan on Grievous and then use General Skywalker on Darth Revan, and then they would hopefully bankrupt themselves to be able to counter my two Galactic Legends that were sitting in the back. Up top we do have the Jedi Training Ray Squad with the Hero Brothers. And then the Newt squad is not really that great, frankly. I think I've fixed it for my next match, but right now I really don't like Baze there, so that's something we need to fix. And then there's Geonosians, which, I mean, they do take a decent team to counter, so there's a lot of good stuff. The thing I was most excited about, though, was them like slogging through my front zone, confident that they were going to see something easier, and then the Galactic Legends would just kind of pop out there and say,
"Hello there."
And for those of you who think that this is a tough defense, you guys should see my next defense. It is crazy, so stay tuned for that. That'll be on Thursday morning. If you want to catch the live stream of that on Twitch, there is a link in the video description to my Twitch channel. Please go follow and subscribe if you want, even. So one thing that I am keeping from the original match, I just want to give the name taunt, because I know that's an important element to some of you. I do that every match, and there's no disrespect meant, but I do it every match, so here it is.
Do it.
So, today I'm facing a dude named Butcher. Or maybe it's like spelling Butcher. Or maybe the SP is actually like a mark next to his name. Like, I spelled it wrong. Like SP, like you just couldn't write like the question mark next to it. He's like, did I spell this right? And the answer is probably not, because it's a name. You should probably capitalize that. Special Butcher. That could be it. Special Placement Butcher. How about that? Alright, and now you can just see the logo on the top left covering up my commentary. Anyways, the front zone that my opponent placed, he had General Grievous with Watt, which is a crazy thing to do, given how good Watt is at countering double Galactic Legends, or at least some Galactic Legends, and then there's a Ray Squad. Now, the Ray Squad is actually fairly problematic. We'll get to that in a minute. So up top, there's really, like, this is a pretty standard kind of team that my opponent likes to take. Just kind of not good teams. I mean, Night Sisters are fine. They're much better on offense these days, though. They've aged poorly, unfortunately. So the thing that makes that Ray team so difficult is Resistance Hero Finn. Look at his speed. He has 335 speed, and that makes him 365 speed after the Ray leadership bonus. So he is super fast. My Vader is only 271, and when I originally did the math, I was nowhere close to fast enough to maybe even match Finn. My math said that he was like 15 speed faster than I could possibly be, which was really frustrating. I thought that Vader was going to be able to counter Rey, frankly.
You were the chosen one!
So I did message my friend Fatal, who's actually going to be on our Gambit live stream in a couple days. I'm excited to see him play. He's going to be killing things, but I asked him, and he showed me how I had done poor math. So check out this breakdown. So the Finn one is fairly easy. He's 335 base speed. He gets 30 from leadership. That makes him 365 speed. Vader starts at 271 base speed. He gains 40 total speed from his unique, so that means 16 from himself, and then he has to have Empire or Sith with him, or he needs to be facing Jedi or Rebels, which he's not facing Jedi or Rebels, so he doesn't get that, but he gets +8 for every Sith or Empire that he gets on his team, so he gets 16 for himself. He gets another 24 for 3 other Empire or Sith on his team, for a total of 40, and then you take that speed and you divide it by 0.85 because Watt is going to be giving him the weapons tech, and the math of that shows that we are at exactly 365.8, which normally in the past, just recently, that would have been an exact tie. It would have just rounded down and we would have been the same speed, and Finn might have gone first or Vader might have gone first. It would have been 50-50, but because of the new turn meter rules, Vader with the slight 0.8 speed advantage is going to go first. So I tested it a bunch and that was actually accurate. So crazy. Huge shout out to Fatal for that help. I'm going to link his YouTube channel in the video description, so go check out his awesome site. He is a really good player and really smart. Really knows what he's doing. So, anyways, here's the full Darth Vader team. I'm using a Gear 12 Shore Trooper, which is just in case. So, the thing is, this whole counter, a lot of times, the counter that Fatal wanted me to bring, and I didn't have Bastila, she's on defense, but he wanted me to bring Dark Bastila, and if she's here, then it's fairly easy without Shore Trooper, but if not, now I had to do all this theorycraft. I have to rely on my Darth Vader to get ability block on Finn. If that doesn't happen, Shore Trooper is there as a contingency. So, it all happened as we had predicted. Darth Vader goes first. He puts up his murderous mayhem. People were making fun of me. I forget what it's called. He did get a very important ability block on Finn there, so that was good. Didn't get it on Rey or Poe. And you'll note here that I didn't actually throw my saber because I didn't think I could kill anyone with it the first time around. And so now he finally got another force choke or whatever it's called, force grip. I'm sure that's not what it's actually called. And now we have to isolate L3, who has the pre-taunt up, and we're just in time to be able to fracture Rey with Thrawn, which is huge. We really want to be able to do that. Now we need to start killing some of these ads. I want to be able to kill Finn as soon as we possibly can, but he still doesn't quite have the right stacks for me for my preference. And so I'm just waiting a little bit. Now we have the third special available, and I'm just trying to figure out exactly what I want to do here. So all we have to do here, if we do the third special, we can get a couple more dots on him from Watt, applying it because he has the weapon. Darth Vader has the weapons tech. And now I'm trying to figure out, okay, so I'm pretty sure Culling Blade ignores that foresight that's on Finn. I was pretty sure I had enough dots and stacks and everything, and I did. So I took him out, and that was huge. Like, killing Finn in that situation is huge. You really need that. And if you don't get ability block, things can go south kind of quick, unless you have some kind of pre-taunt, which, I mean, obviously we did. So I had another Culling Blade available, decided I probably couldn't kill Poe or Holdo, but L3 had a bunch of stacks on her, so I went for that. And now we're just trying to eventually, so Thrawn's going to go, and immediately, because he went, Rey had full turn meter, she popped her ultimate, and now we just have to survive. I do have quite a bit of hit points and health on this squad, and so the only odd man out is Shore Trooper, which is ironic because he's the tank. He's supposed to be the hardest to kill, but he's only gear 12. The rest of them, Traya is relic 3, and then Thrawn and Watt are relic 5, I believe, and then Vader is relic 7. So Rey killed Shore Trooper with her little flip thing, and now we just need to try to take out Rey as soon as we can. She's in a pretty prime location. We haven't done damage immunity on her, so we have to take her with a one shot if possible, which ended up working just fine. And now it's just cleanup. So, pretty good feeling. We want to make sure we're not going to time out here. Poe is lifeblood, and we can do it. We can make it happen, but it's just going to take a minute. So, just don't want to make sure we don't want to fracture him while he's in damage immunity or something. But otherwise, we've got this. Holdo is pretty tough to kill sometimes, but with 19 stacks on her, it wasn't much of a problem. So, 55 banners, and all was well.
Another happy landing.
So, got 55 on Rey, and that's great. The next squad up was going to be that General Grievous squad with Watt, and that means that I can't use Night Sisters. Watt makes that General Grievous squad Night Sisters proof. And so I was tempted for a moment there to try using Jedi Revan with Jedi Luke. I think that would probably work. I think that they probably have enough power that they just beat this squad, but I really needed them to be able to counter Supreme Leader Kylo in the back if my opponent was getting sneaky. So the only other team really that I have that has a great chance, I guess I could have brought CLS with 3PO and maybe Chupio. I don't know. That might have worked. But instead, we're going to be taking General Skywalker with the 501st because I figured in the back, regardless of what they have in the back, if they have Darth Revan and Supreme Leader Kylo, I would still be able to beat them. Darth Revan would be problematic. It would take multiple hits, but at that point, my opponent was probably not going to be clearing me at all anyways. So, this match is pretty straightforward. You can see, like, Anakin has stayed up this whole time. Eventually, he does get knocked down right at the very end there. So now the clones can actually be killed, but at the same time we can actually just start shooting at him because he doesn't have any more clones to send off this taunt to. And of course it's not quite as one-sided as all of that. Look at how bad the clones are off. General Grievous is going to take another turn, probably going to kill one of them and have 5 sacrifice. So once again he did, and then Skywalker of course stood up and just took him out with a really unimpressive 48k. I don't know why I freeze framed that, but General Grievous did something very similar to that, and then I just got a parting shot off on Watt, and we moved on to the back zone. So my prediction in the back was that he did not have Supreme Leader Kylo. I was pretty sure because they had taken Supreme Leader Kylo on offense basically every time. And I was not disappointed. The back actually was extremely unscary. Completely unscary, in fact. So happy enough with that. But now we need to take these top zones out. This top zone out. Need to be as efficient as possible because if I get one fail, like he saved a lot for offense. If I get one fail, then I could potentially lose. So we need to be efficient so that if we do get a fail, we can still potentially win on Banner's efficiency. Now, this is maybe one of the saddest interactions in this match. The Imperial troopers, you can see I only have 2 of them at gear 13. The rest are gear 12. And you guys have seen me use my troopers before. I don't know why I'm pausing for so long. The thing is, I'm targeting these bounty hunters, and there's Mandalorian there, there's Grief Karga, they're both at Relic, like 5 or something. And they're really great characters. My opponent is clearly, at this point in the game, spent money on them, and there is just nothing protecting them from something awful like using troopers against them. You can see I'm targeting Mandalorian because he has the lowest health and protection combined, and as long as I can kill him, now this is vital, if I don't kill him with this shot with Shore Trooper, then we're all sunk. So I did manage to get the kill there, and then I gained a ton of turn meter as a result, so all my troopers get to go again, and the bounty hunters, even though they're all relic like 5 or higher, and crazy speeds, they're all really, really fast, but it's Bossk lead, so it makes them not as fast, just because he doesn't have a leadership that adds speed to it. And as long as my Stark is faster, then I just get to go, and the troopers, or rather the bounty hunters, even with all this crazy relics and stuff, and all their gear, and all the king's horses and all the king's men, weren't enough to keep the bounty hunters alive. I'm sorry that didn't rhyme, but they just got taken out. It makes me sad, but it also makes me really happy because, let's face it, 60 banners is great, and using troopers is a lot of fun. Now, the other awesome thing is troopers are not a team that I usually count on being able to use, and so being able to use them there freed up all sorts of possibilities for other teams. I already had Jedi Luke and Jedi Revan that I hadn't been using. Lots of different options. I did have a feat that I wanted to be able to use with, it had to include Qui-Gon Jinn along with the Padme team, so I targeted the Night Sisters, of course. Padme's great against them. And I just had to hope that Qui-Gon, who was at gear 12, would not just keel over and die of something nebulous, like, for instance, like sadness. So that's very similar to something that happened to someone else in that group who shall remain nameless.
She's dying.
We don't know why. She has lost the will to live.
Alright, so this is a fairly standard composition other than Qui-Gon, but frankly we probably could have just four-manned this and been fine. So he's just along for the ride for the feat, and there is always that moment of fear when if Spirit had successfully one-shot Ahsoka there, this might have gone south pretty quick. Now one thing to point out is Asajj has the ability to dispel all of our stacks of protection, which means that we don't get stacks of courage, which means that it's a lot harder to take these Night Sisters out. And so Asajj did go before Padme, so once Padme got a turn, she could immediately just do her move that gives everyone stacks of protection and healing. And really, like, once you start getting all these stacks, like, you're doing 40% max health damage to people, and old Daka, even with the Zeta, his max percent health is a percent health, so she could have 1 billion health, and courage will still just kill her with a couple stacks. So we did manage to take out old Daka first, and this team might have been a lot scarier. I would say a lot is maybe a stretch, but it might have been a little bit scarier if it had been Talzin lead, just because every time after you kill Daka, if they use a basic, Daka would show up and say, "Surprise, I'm going to try stunning you." And even though we have stacks of protection that usually protect us from status effects like that, it can still be a little bit scary. So, anyways, I'm trying to rediscover these Qui-Gon abilities. I knew that one of them was a dispel, one of them was an assist to call, and even after reading them, I apparently immediately forgot what I had read, and just, I was struggling, apparently. So, once you take out Talzin, she's the last hope of them reviving if it's an Asajj lead squad, and so yeah, that was that. I was hoping I could get more than 55 banners, or rather 54, but, Kenobi didn't quite have enough health for that, so no avoiding that really. 54 is just fine, and happily Padme, or whoever it is, didn't keel over from sadness. Now the last squad here is Nest, it's a Gear 12 Newt squad with Nest. So I'm going to take my first order here. We don't have Wat. Wat is obviously, we used him with that Vader squad to take out Rey, which is a worthy use for him. But what we're trying to do here is just basically avoid all these different damage things. Like these are all Gear 12 characters, and they're pretty squishy. The exception being Nest, but Nest is slow and tenacious, so we can stun her at the end and just get all of our health back and stuff. It's pretty cool. I'll show you guys in a minute. But what we're doing here first, we got to take out all these different characters. So I stunned Droideka because there's no way for them to dispel that stun. So I 2-turn stunned Droideka. Try to take these other characters out. Droideka is their best hope of being able to kill one of my characters. If they target like First Order Officer, even at gear 12, they can probably do quite a bit of damage. So, unfortunately, Dooku did manage to get his stealth off, so Droideka was going to get at least one big hit in, and we just had to destroy Nest for a few minutes. We could stun her, and then we can't target anyone else other than Nest, which is, I guess, okay. Droideka is going to get his, though, that's for sure, and we don't really have any way to avoid that. We did manage to get an AoE off with Kylo to kill Dooku, and Droideka did very nearly kill Executioner there. So that was a little bit scary, but now we can finish off Nest after she's been stunned and takes a turn. We can take out Droideka, and now we have to kill Newt a couple times. First Order Special Forces TIE Fighter is actually, or TIE Fighter Pilot is pretty interesting. Because when they call it an assist, if it's a special or something, now I forget. I think if you meet some condition, you actually stun the character that you assisted against. So pretty cool. This team was a little too weak to actually regain all of my banners, but 58 is honestly just fine. Negotiator is in the back, yuck, but you are probably wondering,
what about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
That's a valid question. However, I did not really have any droids to use to attack any Wookiees. There was, however, one Wookiee team in the bottom that had 2 different Hans, 2 different versions of Chewie, with Kira leading them, so it was kind of fitting. It's kind of a weird squad, though, because there is no taunting tank here at all. So we can just go straight for these guys who can revive. We're gonna... I just took Jedi Luke and then a bunch of role players. I probably didn't need Shaak Ti here. I was just, I don't know, I was afraid. It was foolish of me to feel afraid, I think, in hindsight, but I'd never really faced this team. I'm still trying to figure out, like, Luke does great as a part of a counter to Galactic Legends, but I'm still trying to figure out exactly what squads he can take out on his own. So, I managed to take out the Han, the Captain Han first, then the Veteran Han, and now I managed to take out the Veteran Chewie, and then Vader, who was like, "Hey, why can't I revive anyone, guys?" And the answer is inevitably because you didn't get any turns, Vader. Your team sucks, and you didn't get any turns. So, 61 banners. Pretty easy there, and now all we have left is this Phasma squad, and really, like, I had a bunch of different options. I could have taken Nest here, and I think Nest would have had a high degree of success, but there was an element of risk. If First Order Executioner got in a big hit at the wrong time, then things could go poorly. So instead, I took this Commander Luke team. We're trying to get undersize banners here for the feet and all of that. So, took out First Order Executioner really easy. Like, I was really surprised at how fast that guy went down. Which is maybe what she said. I don't know. But one way or another, you need to take him out as a priority. There aren't any other facilitators here, actually. This team is... Frankly, no offense to my opponent, this is a very poorly constructed First Order team. Like, I already don't like Phasma Lead, but if you have to use Phasma Lead, that's fine. You need something that's actually going to make them go. Like, Kylo Ren, I guess, can kind of get them going, but you need them to be fast enough to actually do something, or something. I don't know. What I'm getting at is you probably want either Hux, and Hux would be the lead, I think. He would be the best lead. You'd either need Hux or you need, like, First Order Officer on this squad to make it any good. frankly, I just think Phasma belongs on the bench. Everyone has a Gear 5 Phasma now because of the Galactic Legends, and that sucks. I think you just need to accept that she is not any good and treat her like you treat Rose, which is on the bench. That's frankly what I think. So, anyways, we got another 61 banner win, and we can beat all the different squads fairly efficiently, actually. So now we have this Negotiator mirror, and frankly, it was a weird composition. I guess you guys will see in a minute. I cut that part off for some reason, but the fact remains, I wasn't sure how to counter this, and that's a huge problem, frankly. So I was asking Chad. There's a few very knowledgeable people in that chat, and I decided, like they told me that, like, oh yeah, well we know how to beat this. Like, here's the comp that you use. So I threw this fleet in there based off of their comments, and yeah, this is how I felt moving into it.
If what you've told me is true, you will have gained my trust.
So, jumped in with this composition, just Houndstooth with the Jedi Knight Anakin and 5s, and this isn't a comp that I have a ton of experience against, as I said before. So they've got Anakin, they've got Rex and BTL, so it doesn't look that threatening. It's all it is. It's just like 2 tanks, basically. They're not damage dealers, and then Anakin. And I could target Anakin to my heart's content right off the bat. BTL wasn't blocking me at that point. And let's speed this up a little bit, because this battle does go a little bit long, and I don't want to subject anyone to more fleet fighting than they absolutely have to. So they got another tank in, which is obviously problematic because I can't shoot Anakin, and even if I could, he does have his protection against AoEs, basically, the Undying Loyalty. And, you know, it's a full Galactic Republic fleet, so they're giving Negotiator a ton of cooldown reduction for his ultimate, which obviously that ultimate is a pretty good one. Oh man, I came so close there with my Anakin's AoE to taking out their own Anakin, but alas, it was not going to happen there. So, yeah, I still hadn't killed anyone yet. They hadn't killed anything of mine yet, but I did feel like they were right now in a much better situation than me at this point. I did manage to bring Snips in here, and I targeted BTL, got the Dispel, and took out their Anakin, but then they used their bombing run to take out our Anakin, and man, it's just so frustrating.
Wait a minute. How did this happen? We're smarter than this.
Apparently not.
Yeah, so if my Anakin had survived that somehow, I think that this fight would have, obviously, it goes a lot better when Anakin's alive. As it stands, a lot of my ships were dying. Them getting the ultimate first is just really huge. It's really hard to actually come back from that. Look at how long it took for me to get my ultimate. The problem is I just don't understand these kits that well, and I know that I'm going to get a flood of comments from people saying, oh, here's how to do it, here's how to do it, and frankly, I hope you don't feel offended when I kind of just ignore what you say, not because what you say is wrong or not valuable, but I need to do the research myself. Frankly, trusting the chat is not going to work for me, so yeah, this just degenerated into madness. Like, we're just like a bunch of tanks flailing at each other. It's stupid. It's frustrating. The Negotiator mirror has always frustrated me. I had it down pretty decently for a while. I had a pretty good rate of success, but for whatever reason, I think the BTL has really changed that equation, and I have just not done a good job of keeping up with that. So, anyways, we ended up timing out, which is not fun at all.
If what you've told me is true, you will have gained my trust.
And so, really, I mean, so it's a live stream. Here, I'm interacting with people, and they're well-intentioned people, and it just, No offense to any of those guys. I think that they all probably did understand the comp. That doesn't work, really, to listen to people in the chat. Not always, anyways. Sometimes there's a good idea that's actually translatable. But as I continue to stream, I really need to be working on that, honestly. I just need to have more answers. The Negotiator mirror match, that's something that I've had like a year or more to practice. I don't even know what the time frame is, but it's a pretty big time frame. I should be on top of that. Anyways, enough self-recrimination. We need to get the win on this fleet. We need to get the clear, because my opponent will probably full clear me, given how much they kept for offense. And so took the pretty standard rebel team. Luckily, I mean, they don't have any reinforcements, so we could eventually, we're gonna drag these two down, even if we have to use Holdo to kill their ship or something. But it doesn't really come to that. Falcon fleets are great at Negotiator cleanup, especially if there's not an Anakin around to mess with them. And so I took them out in pretty short order, and it was kind of just disappointing. Like I was on the road to having a really efficient score, and now my certainty was just kind of destroyed. Like, if I had won that in one hit, I would have been like, yeah, they're not getting through Darth Revan and General Grievous and 2 Galactic Legends and Jedi Training Rey with the Hero Bros and that Newt team and Geonosians. Like, there's just no way they're going to beat me if I'm at, like, 1920 banners. Like, 1920. Like, there's just no way that they were going to beat me. But now there's an open window for it, frankly. And after my rough season last season, if I lost the finals again, I would probably literally die of sadness.
She's dying.
We don't know why. She has lost the will to live.
So I went to bed, and when I woke up, my opponent had cleared the front zone, one-shot it, and that wasn't a pleasant feeling. Though, of course, you hope for fails, but at the same time, you don't know how they did it. And actually, when I woke up, they were in the middle of their attacks, so that was kind of an interesting experience. So I took some screenshots of that, of course, and you get to see them. Now, their first attempt on Supreme Leader Kylo failed here, and I think, if memory serves me right, looking at GAC history, they used a Kylo mirror, and they failed that. So that was a good feeling. Then they failed something against my Rey team. I actually don't know what it was. I should look at that. And then they beat my Geonosians, and then they would eventually target, the Newt team next, I believe. And maybe they didn't take the Newt team out. They did take out Supreme Leader Kylo. They used Commander Luke to finish him off, which is fine. That's a couple good teams that I had taken out. Then they finished off my Jedi Training Rey team, which is fine. They already served their purposes, and at this point I thought that I'd probably won, but I wanted to see how the results were on my other squads. They did one-shot my Geonosians, which, I mean, frankly, Geonosians probably should be on my offense most of the time from now on. They did one-shot my Malevolence, which wasn't surprising, even though it's probably an ugly mirror match. They accomplished their goal. Like, Negotiator still failed me at least. So they did try another attempt on Rey and lost, and I believe that's it. That is where everything ended. So ended up with a full week of not being full cleared, which is great. And the final score, I scored almost 300 more than my opponent, which is cool. Would have been nice to get even closer to that 300 if I hadn't failed in fleets. But now I'm practicing. So once again, got the win. Got the paltry 350 prize for the win. And because I had won all 3 of my matches in the week, I got number 1. I got both Zeta mats. And I got to pretend like I was my alt account for a little bit, so that was nice. And anyways, I got the win. I was able to just barely stay out of Chromium, so that's great. Don't have to face a bunch of tryhards. No one wants that. And Anyways, folks, this has taken a way longer amount of time than I had wanted it to, and I need to get in bed. So thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it if you leave a like, if you enjoyed the video. I'd love feedback and all of that as well. And anyways, thank you all one more time. Thank you so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.
So uncivilized.